This video will be slightly different from the others. For all the previous one, I always wrote messages and idea for my younger self, things that he really needed to hear and become a better man. But this one is for my current self. So, gentlemen, and you too, Patrick, if you're struggling with the fact that life as a modern man is so full of hardship and the burden of undesirable work that must be done, and you think that life can be more enjoyable and better than this, I think this video will unlock all of that for you. Because, as you know, life as a man is never easy, let alone as a gentleman in this day and age. While you dress in sartorial elegance, others dress in casual comfort. While you aspire to etiquette and manners of the bygone era, others just don't care about it. While you want to pursue excellence in life in every dimension, others want to pull you down. And that's just the external influences. When it's come to the internal, that's 2 to 3 times more of a challenge to manage. You have a big dreams, perhaps bigger than anyone in your bloodline has ever imagined. So do the inner doubts that always creep in. You already know what it takes to get there. Yet the amount of work and the feeling of discomfort just storm into you and become a great enemy to your vision. The vision, the goal, the milestones, they all laid out there, but the pathway to get there is full of resistance that is hard to go through. Resistance will most likely come as a voice in your head. It will perjure, fabricate, and seduce. It will lie to keep you from doing your work. The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Perhaps you experience this firsthand. Whenever you're about to thrive on the path, whenever you set a clear intention of going all in with it, the result, you find yourself drawn back to the comfort you despise and swore never to return to. Mindlessly scrolling on social media, watching populist content, skipping the hard work. Yet, even so, gentlemen, deep inside, you know that comfort is not the answer to life. It's not what you truly want. Not the way mediocrity always ends up, making millions of lives regretful. Because most people live life in a miserable way. And here's what I mean. This is the 24 hours of a Monday for most people, at least in Bangkok. They wake up 2 hours before the clock-in time of 9 to 5. They waste half an hour or even an hour on that same bed they woke up in, scrolling on Instagram and TikTok. They rush through a shower. Some even skip it, dress in an unclean and wrinkled synthetic fabric cloth, and suffer through the dense commute. Then they think to themselves, when will Friday arrive? Before they even step into the job they hate, they do the routine work to sustain the business, not to make it thrive with creative solutions. They quickly grab their stuff when clock-out times arrives and think about how to spend their evening winding down with streaming videos or drinking with their peers. At midnight, they are ready to rest, thinking, what will I buy? Which place will I travel to when the salary comes out at the end of the month? Well, isn't that sorrowful? To see that humans, the most advanced creatures on the planet, live on a program, the one that strips away free will, the desire to become better, and replaces it with complacency and comfort that traps their true potential, which they will never know or discover. And if you wonder what's the other side of the coin, the possibility of how life could be, then here's the alternative path. Instead of rushing through grooming because of limited time, they can wake up a bit earlier and enjoy the routine, from the feeling of applying treatments to selecting high-quality classic clothes that reflect their best version of the day. Instead of working without thought, they can put creativity into their work, focusing on problem solving, yes, even in someone else's business, to create more value both for their expertise and at a business level. And instead of thinking about when will Friday come or when am I going to do when the salary arrives, they could shift their mindset to, did I experience my best life today? Because gentlemen, that question is the crucial one that you must ask yourself every single day to make the most out of life. Before we go any further, I need to clarify something. Life is individual, from the creation of it to the style that one's designed to live. It is based on a specific mind, which means, in the basic sense, there's no right or wrong way to live life. Also, the term best life is different from person to person. So, to make things clear, let me clarify my definition of the best life for you. First, I believe it's not about making the most money in the world, and it's not about consuming hedonistic experiences like partying in private villa, but it all lies in presence and purpose, executed with elegance. Let me explain that statement with these 2 scenarios. The first one is a gentleman who was born with nothing, no capital privilege, no elite social cycle, but day and night, he knows where he wants to go. He knows what he needs to do, and he does it with full presence, knowing that the nights and day he spends working are aligned with his vision. The second one is a privileged man with all the leverage in the world, capital, social cycle, yet he chooses to overlook it by focusing solely on pleasure and hedonism. From driving a family money Carrera 911, dressing in European garments, to spending time partying and socializing without knowing where he wants to go or being aware of his purpose in life. Now, you might still think that the second man probably has a life that is more at ease and enjoyable than the first one. But gentlemen, you can experience this for yourself. Try booking a vacation for a week without any purpose or plan. Make it the most luxurious and extravagant and see how you feel. Because I bet that in no less than 3 days, your soul will crave the purpose that awaits you back at your place, a voice of inner calling that reminds you of the duty you must fulfill. This is where most people fail to experience the best life. They can't acknowledge their inner calling and answer it with action and presence. Instead, they get distracted by external stimulation. They don't live life in presence, and that won't allow them to open themselves to the purpose inside their soul. And even if they surpass this stage, knowing all the things they must do, having all the goals and the grand visions of their future, they can't fully commit to it. If you're watching this far, you're probably at this stage where everything lies ahead of you, yet you can't fully run toward it without getting dragged back to square one again. Gentlemen, if I may say, it all lies in the fact that you still perceive yourself as a person clinging to comfort. And that perception is deadly to your future, your vision, and your greatness. Because for almost my whole life, I was in a situation that was not that bad to live in. From social cycles to education to career, every road led to mediocrity. Yet it was comfortable to be in. There was no real penalty or social pressure, even if I continue living that way. And this might be a harsh pill to swallow, but unless you see and perceive that your current life is unacceptable to stay in, you won't be able to change the trajectory of your life. To put this in simple terms, there are concepts I once talked about in the previous video titled The Only Way to Change Your Life, the one with Cary Grant and Ralph Lauren as the thumbnail. It's the concept of self-identity, the psychological perception that every human being has unconsciously developed about themselves. This term, self-identity, has everything to do with your thoughts and action. Because if you see yourself as a gentleman of excellence, a gentleman who lives with purpose and style, you can't help but align with your actions with that identity from the way you approach your work, your daily routine, and your social life. Well, do you see where we're going with this? The reason why you're stuck at this point, the situation where deep inside, you know all the things you should be doing, yet you can't fully commit to them, is because you still perceive yourself as that person. And without enough discomfort, you won't be able to break free. But fear not, because there's a solution to this, and it's actually simpler than most people think. If comfort is the main obstacle stopping you from shifting your identity, then all you need to do is create discomfort in your current life to make it feel like a do or die situation if you stay the same. I call this the deadly penalty and prestige reward system. The way positive reinforcement is carried out is more important than the amount. A person who has been punished is not thereby simply less inclined to behave in a given way. At best, he learns how to avoid punishment. B.F. Skinner on reinforcement theory. This is the core psychological principle of this system. The idea is to make failure to execute so deadly that it threatens your comfort. If you skip a workout, then fast for a whole day. If you procrastinate on essential work, then no sleep until it's get done. If you get distracted by mindless scrolling or watching useless content, then drop down for an instant 100 push-ups. That's the example of the death penalty on a daily scale, which can also be extended to a weekly, monthly, or even yearly time frame. Based on Skinner's theory, this idea miraculously pulled me away from habits I despise yet always end up repeating. Think of it as a mechanism that the military loves to use on their squad. Now, the problem with this practice is that it only pushes you away from the bad, but does not pull you toward the good. This is where you create a sight of paradise, a prestigious reward for a man who deserves it, which could be anything you want, but the key here is to make it special, stimulating, exciting, and memorable. This means it should be something that requires a significant investment, but in exchange provides fulfilling gratification. For me, attending an orchestra performance or enjoying a cocktail at a jazz bar when I complete a weekly milestone commissioning a sartorial garment, or luxury traveling if it's a monthly time frame. For daily rewards, a great classic cinema evening or a morning ritual with excellent coffee, which by the evening could turn into the signature mate cocktail. So, when it's come to this side of paradise, a great temptation that will pull you into a lifestyle full of grace, glamour, and sophistication on a daily basis. If you can't think of anything, then allow me to introduce you to the pathway of the gentleman.
Would you mind if I had you investigated a little?
Not at all. With what object?
Well, if I were Francie's age, you'd sound too good to be true.
I've certainly never been short of pleasure. Do you know what real pleasure is? A creative act. A pleasure without creativity is dead boring. Jiangni Angyeli. The main problem with the modern day hustle and grind is that we tend to forget the art of living life. Yes, I know that if you see your work as your life purpose, then you are already living your life when you do the work. Actually, I'm the one who bought into this idea. But work is not the only dimension of life. And since you have watched this far, it's likely that we share the same ideology on how to approach life and live the best out of it. As we discussed earlier on the matter of the best life, it's all about purpose and presence within it. Now, the question is less about what to do, but more about who you want to be. This is where the gentleman pathway, a timeless quality of elegance, comes into play. A gentleman is a man of excellence, both in internal character and external appearance. Patrick Gum. Yes, that's my own definition of a gentleman. To look at a concrete example of this term, we can always lead back to the timeless icons of the past, whether they were real-life figures like Cary Grant of Golden Age Hollywood, or fictional characters like Ian Fleming, James Bond 007, especially Sean Connery's version. These gentlemen were always well-dressed, always held impeccable manners, always indulged in intellectual culture, and always did their best work. They are proven figures that purposeful work and daily sophistication can go hand in hand. With that said, gentlemen, you don't need to postpone your desire to live better for the future. It's true that right now, physically, you may not have the desirable status, car, clothes, partner, or capital, but mentally, you can tap into the gentleman persona of your own, the best life that you can live right now. I call this concept Gentleman Lifestyle Design. It's a framework to create a life full of purpose and full of sophistication on a daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis. Basically, a blueprint to live a great life. As you know, icons like Cary Grant, they live their best lives even before they reach the point of doing so. My formula for living is quite simple. I get up in the morning and I go to bed at night. In between, I occupy myself as best I can. Cary Grant. This means the morning grooming that is done intentionally, feeling the ritual that makes a man. Daily sartorial elegance, whether they're going out or staying in, they will always dress in classic attire, which you can explore in my ebook Sartorial Codex, link in the description to learn the know-how of dressing in this style in the modern day. And as a groom and dress-up, they remain present with their purpose, whether it's work, education, cultural discovery, or socialization. The question is, how do you transform your current situation and actually experience the gentleman lifestyle? So, here are 3 steps that will guide you from here to there. The first step, expose yourself to an ideal life to have an idea of who you want to be. The main challenge for men and young men today is finding their place in this chaotic world, also known as an existential crisis. We are exposed to far too many things that we weren't meant to see, and that causes mental overload and overwhelms the mind. Whether it's the pleasure of success that leads to statements like, if you're not a millionaire before your 30s, you're a fail, or the increasing difficulty of dating, making it harder to connect or get attention from the one you're interested in. Or even the deep philosophical questions about the meaning of life, such as, what is my life actually for? Or why am I still breathing and living this? To be honest, gentlemen, when thinking about these challenges, I can't help but reminded of my old identity. But here's the first step that allowed my mind to break free from the chaos. Exposing myself to the possibility of life through inspiring content. This can include classic sources from before the internet age, such as biographies, books, and films, or modern digital content like YouTube videos like this, podcasts, and blogs. In my case, I credit almost everything to cinema. I was always influenced by movies. I was very influenced by the world that had a sense of dream. Ralph Lauren. This medium allowed me to know exactly the type of man I wanted to be. the man who is at ease in his own skin, the man who can charm anyone he interacts with, from men to women, the man who always presents himself with excellence through style and action, and the man who doesn't forget to enjoy the sophisticated pleasures along his journey. In essence, a classic gentleman. From that, I began to think, how would this man dress, eat, drink, work, rest, and enjoy life if he were in my position? Once you do this, you will get a big overview of how your day can be revamped and elevated. But the problem still remains, because the classic gentleman is an archetype of the past, and the modern day context is quite different. So the next exposure for me came thanks to the internet, which allowed me to see the possibilities of life beyond geographic limitations. Creators are the key to unlocking this. By creators, I don't just mean content creators, but anyone who creates something meaningful, especially those who were born into the same or even worse life conditions than I was. And with this, my mind started to be challenged. It began to think differently, started to question, wait Patrick, if there are so many people around the world who were in your condition, your age, your social class, facing similar challenges, and yet they reach the state of life you desire, then why can't you? When these two realizations combined, the type of man I wanted to be and the possibility of actually achieving it, my beliefs began to change, and suddenly, life became endlessly full of excitement. Yet, once you reach this state, where you already found the type of man you want to be and see the possibility of a better life, the next challenge will be the dissonance between this vision and your current self-identity, which leads to the next step. Break free from the limitation of self-concept to end the sabotage cycle and be able to live the vision. Man is nothing else but what he makes of himself. Jean-Paul Sartre. You can't elevate yourself beyond what your unconscious mind perceives you to be. Gentlemen, we talk about this a lot, whether in this video or previous ones of mine. So, the question is, how do you actually break free from the old self-narrative that keeps you stuck in a position you despise and finally be able to live your ideal lifestyle? My personal method here includes 3 stages. First, be discontent with your current situation. As we discussed earlier, comfort is what keeps you the same and acts as an obstacle to change. To tackle this, you must be mad, and sorry for this word, but to piss off at your life. If this stage is complete, you will never feel satisfied until you actually become a new man of ideal vision. The second stage, detach from the old self-narrative. This is all about exploring how your current identity was developed. You must go back to your childhood, analyze how you were raised, the social environment you were born into, and challenge those voices. In my case, it's all about my social class, that I'm just a mere third world country citizen in the middle class, so I don't deserve more money, more achievements, more excitement in life. And third stage, embody the ideal vision right now. Once you completed the first 2 stages, you can't stand staying the same, and you understand what keeps you stuck. Now, it's time to transform into a new being, that archetype of the gentleman you admire. His actions, his thoughts, live them right now. Do not wait until you reach a certain milestone. And if your days and nights are full of grinding and working, remember the purpose of it. And I can confirm that with this realization alone, it is enough to make life fun and fulfilling. These 3 stages of self-identity shifting are essential if you want to move forward on this path. Otherwise, you will end up in the same self-sabotage cycle that you have experienced so far. And that's why, after dozens of fails and attempts to create a system that truly transformed, I finally completed one of my own, the narrative shifter. This is what I call it. It's the complete blueprint and system based on the 3 stages of identity shifts to end self-sabotage once and for all, and to make you finally become the gentleman you want to be. Which right now, the program is in the pre-launch with an exclusive price before it jumps to the full price on March 17. So, if you're interested, feel free to check it out through the link in the description. Now, back to gentleman lifestyle design. The last step, and perhaps the longest one you need to endure, is to commit to action and principle daily and forget about material and external rewards for now. The main mental hassle when you design the lifestyle you want as a gentleman is that you're likely not yet fully exposed to your true desires. Because if you draw inspiration from fictional characters like James Bond or even real-life icons like Cary Grant, these gentlemen live in la dolce vita. Cars like Aston Martin or Rolls-Royce, suits from tailing house on Savvy Row, cultural experience at high-end opera houses, accommodations in 5-star hotels. I know that these are tempting and might serve as great motivation to become and live like a classic gentleman, but here's my personal take on this. As long as you focus on the principles of life and take action on the essential task daily, you will reach the same position as these gentlemen icons did. Just like the famous quote from Aristotle, we become what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. So, the last action step I'll leave you with this video is to persistently act as if you have already become your ideal gentleman vision. If he were appear in your body, in your condition right now, how would he act from today? Which parts of his routine he would do differently? Make sure that the answer is none. Everything you do on a daily basis must align with your ideal gentleman vision, because when you do so, you can be sure that in no time, all the external rewards, all the prestige, and all the experiences you desire will inevitably come. Gentlemen, that's it for this weekly issue. If you watched this far and are serious about changing your life trajectory and designing a gentleman lifestyle with all the steps laid out ahead of you, then check out the Narrative Shifter. If you want to know how to dress in a classic style and achieve sartorial elegance, download the free ebook, the Sartorial Codex. All links are in the description. Apart of that, I hope you enjoyed this one and also hope to see you in the next video. Have a great day.